One day, in a quiet town nestled between hills and rivers, a young man named Rayan sat at his desk, staring at a blank notebook. He was 22, freshly graduated from university, and unsure of what came next. His degree was in business management, but jobs were scarce, and every rejection email felt like a punch to his confidence. Rayan wasn't lazy. He worked hard, applied for dozens of positions, and even helped his father at their small shop. But no matter what he did, it seemed like life was determined to push him down. Every morning, he woke up with the same heavy thoughts. What if I'm not good enough? What if I never succeed? What if my dreams stay just dreams? And so, day after day, he went through life feeling defeated before even trying. One rainy evening, Rayan returned home after another failed interview. He dropped his bag on the floor and collapsed on his bed. His younger sister, Noor, peeked into the room. "You okay, Bhai?" she asked softly. Rayan forced a smile. "Yeah, just tired." But inside, he felt like screaming. He wanted to quit everything, stop applying for jobs, stop dreaming, stop hoping. What's the point? He thought bitterly. Later that night, his grandfather, who lived with them, entered his room. The old man's eyes were wise and calm. He sat beside Rayan and said, "I've been watching you. You're drowning in your own thoughts, not in life's problems." Rayan frowned. "But I've tried, Dadaji. Nothing works." His grandfather smiled, knowingly, and placed an old tattered journal in his hands. On the cover were the words, "Thoughts create worlds. This was mine when I was your age," he explained. "It taught me something that saved my life. The power of positive thinking." Skeptical but curious, Rayan opened the journal that night. Inside were handwritten notes, quotes, and reflections. One page read, "The mind is a garden. If you plant weeds, don't expect flowers." Another said, "Positive thinking doesn't mean ignoring problems. It means facing them with hope, courage, and the belief that solutions exist." Rayan read for hours. His grandfather had written about losing his job in his youth, facing debts, and nearly giving up, until he discovered the power of controlling his thoughts. By focusing on possibilities instead of limitations, he rebuilt his life from scratch. Rayan closed the journal, his mind buzzing. For the first time in months, he wondered, have I been failing because I keep expecting failure? The next morning, Rayan decided to test the idea. Instead of dragging himself out of bed with heavy thoughts, he whispered to himself, "Today will be better. I have value. I will find opportunities." It felt strange, almost silly, but as he got ready, he noticed he wasn't as drained. On his way to deliver groceries for his father's shop, he smiled at neighbors and greeted people warmly. To his surprise, they smiled back. At the shop, a customer struck up a conversation. He turned out to own a small digital marketing company. When he learned that Rayan had studied business, he said, "We're looking for part-time interns. Send me your details." It wasn't a job offer, but it was something, and Rayan realized it happened on the very day he chose to think differently. But positive thinking wasn't magic. Weeks passed, and Rayan faced many more rejections. Some days he felt motivated, but other days negativity came rushing back. One afternoon, after being turned down for another interview, he sat at a cafe, frustrated. His friend Hamza joined him. "You're too optimistic, bro," Hamza scoffed. "Life doesn't work that way. Hoping doesn't change reality." Rayan sipped his tea quietly. For a moment, doubt crept in. Maybe Hamza was right. Maybe positivity was just a fantasy. But then he remembered his grandfather's words. Positive thinking doesn't erase problems. It gives you the strength to solve them. He realized that while optimism alone wouldn't hand him success, it gave him the energy and clarity to keep trying. Without it, he would have quit long ago. A month later, Rayan finally landed an internship at the marketing firm he had connected with at the shop. The pay was small, the workload heavy, but he was grateful. On his first day, he was given a project to create a campaign for a struggling local restaurant. His colleagues doubted him, whispering, "He's just an intern. What can he do?" Ryan felt nervous, but instead of drowning in fear, he focused on possibilities. He told himself, I can do this. I will learn. I will prove myself. He worked late nights, researched strategies, and poured his creativity into the campaign. 2 weeks later, the restaurant's sales doubled. The boss was impressed. I didn't expect this from an intern, he admitted. You have potential. For the first time, Ryan felt his confidence return. Not because life suddenly became easy, but because he learned to face challenges with a positive mindset. As weeks turned into months, Ryan noticed that positivity didn't just change his work, it changed his relationships too. At home, he encouraged his sister during exams. Don't focus on how hard it is, focus on how strong you are. She studied harder and scored better. At the office, he motivated his teammates. Let's look at what we can do, not what we can't. Slowly, the workplace energy shifted, and even senior employees respected him. One colleague told him, You've changed the vibe here. You make people believe in themselves. Ryan realized something powerful. Positivity was contagious. When he believed in himself, others started believing too. Just when everything seemed to be improving, life threw another test. The marketing firm suddenly announced budget cuts. Many employees, including Ryan, lost their positions. For a moment, he felt crushed. The old thoughts returned. Maybe I was just lucky. Maybe I'll never find stability. But then he remembered the journal. He opened it and read, When doors close, look for windows. Every setback hides an opportunity. Instead of sulking, he decided to take a risk. Using the experience he had gained, he started freelancing as a digital marketer. He reached out to small businesses in town, offering affordable services. It was tough at first, but slowly, clients began trusting him. His reputation grew. Within a year, he wasn't just employed, he was running his own small business. Years later, Ryan stood in his office, now leading a team of young marketers. His company wasn't the biggest, but it was respected. More importantly, it was built on resilience, faith, and positivity. Looking back, he realized the biggest change wasn't his career, it was his mindset. He was no longer the boy who woke up defeated by negative thoughts. He was a man who knew that thoughts shape reality, that attitude defines outcome, and that positivity isn't naive, it's powerful. One evening, Ryan was invited to speak at a youth seminar. Standing before hundreds of students, he shared his story. Positive thinking doesn't mean you ignore problems, he said. It doesn't mean life will suddenly become easy. It means you face challenges with courage instead of fear. You see possibilities instead of barriers. And that mindset changes everything. If I had given in to negativity, I would have quit before even trying. But by choosing positivity, I gave myself a chance, and that chance became a new life. The hall filled with applause. Many students felt hope spark inside them, the same way Ryan once had when he opened his grandfather's journal. The power of positive thinking isn't about blind optimism. It's about strength. It's about refusing to let fear control you. It's about training your mind to see light in the darkest moments. Ryan's journey reminds us all that while we cannot control every circumstance, we can control our response. And often, that one choice between negativity and positivity determines the direction of our entire lives.